Today's about listening, so I want to get right off and into some ideas. And again, in response to many of you who've said, well, what's your newest? Not your best necessarily, but your newest. Well, I tell you, I just invented these 2 days ago. I got a little help from my friend Joanne and Bill, my friends, and I am going to present my newest ideas here about listening. And then after we talk about those, then I'm going to present some of my best ideas about listening to others, and also get some of your best thinking about it. And then I'm going to talk about how to train others to listen to us, because so often we want people to listen to us like we listen to them, and they don't. So how do we train them? So that's where we're headed today, and my purpose, as always, is to help you think, to assist you to invent ways to improve your life. So if for example, some of my newest ideas about thinking, if you don't like them, well, just invent the opposite of them. Well, here's the first one. Is first, listen to yourself. I'm going to talk about ways to listen to yourself, but I think that often we forget when practicing listening to practice first on ourselves. And I believe that as you perfect the ability to listen to yourself, you will perfect the ability to listen to others. Most of the time when I teach, and I look back through my books, I've got a lot of books, and I've always written about listening, and I write about how to listen to others, but I really haven't talked about listening to yourself very much. I'm talking about 2 ways about listening to yourself. Part 1 is, what are you saying to others? Because I think sometimes we speak to others, but we don't really hear what we're saying to them. We're not self-reflective in our listening. Then part 2 is, what are you saying to yourself, either subconsciously or silently, or even out loud? I talk to myself a lot when nobody's around, out loud. And I know many other people do that. A good friend of mine recently confessed that he does it. He almost thought there was something wrong with it. Well, of course, maybe some of you think there is, but I don't think there is. So the point is that when we are practicing listening to ourselves, or even parts of ourselves, we will get better at listening to others. So, for example, you could listen to your sore stomach. You could actually say, you could even do this out loud. You could say, hey, sore stomach, speak to me. And then you could give it voice. Or you could just pause and hear it. Or you could say, hey, I got a pain in my back. Pain in my back. Speak to me. What are you trying to tell me? Shoulder. You hurt. Head. I've got a headache. Feet. You're killing me. What are you trying to tell me? If I heard you say what you're trying to say, would you maybe stop hurting me so badly? Well, how do you do this? I think you first of all set aside time to do it, and then maybe even write down what you hear, just like you would if you were listening to your boss or your spouse or a good friend, and your good friend said, hey, this is really important. Well, if somebody told me that, I'd whip out a 3x5 card and I'd write down what I heard. Another way you can listen to yourself is through a wake-up call. I've described this to most of you. If you go to daveellisleadership.com, just like is up on the screen now, and if you go to resources under daveellisleadership.com, you'll find a wake-up call. And if you log in there, what will happen is you can type in any message and have it sent to you at any time. I just got 2 days ago a message from someone who said, I found this resource super valuable. Every morning I do Power Hour, where I spend 10 minutes in each of the following areas: meditation, spiritual, physical, mental, financial, relationship. And I've incorporated the wake-up calls into this hour. I'm experiencing deep support with them. Because, see, whatever you want to hear, you can type it in there and your phone will ring. You pick it up, you'll hear the message. So there's one of my newest ideas called Listen to Yourself. Here's another one about listening. Don't listen. And I'm not kidding, by the way. I know it sounds like, well, you're just exaggerating. I'm not. I think that we sometimes make listening the right thing to do. We do it because a good person does it, or we think it's moral, or it's the ethical thing to do, or if we're just a good Buddhist, we would do it, or if we were just a good Christian, we would do it, or if we were just a good atheist, we would do it. If we were just a good person, we'd listen more. But I think sometimes the best way to listen is don't. Because first of all, there's times when what's being said is not worth being listened to. And you can do this politely. I want to give you a few lines here, a few possible lines. You can say, oh, I just don't have time right now. Maybe later, but not now. Or I'm so full right now. I'm full. My head's just packed. I just couldn't do it justice. I just can't listen right now. Or I care about you, but I'm just not interested in that topic. I pulled this one out the other day. I've got a lot of friends who are really interested in investing, where to put their money and how to make more money, and I've got extra money, so they always think I'm interested in talking about it, and I don't like it. Or you could say, well, I don't want to talk about this anymore. We've already talked about it for a while, and I want to change the subject. Or you could even let people know. You say, hey, I'm kind of going down. This is kind of raining on my parade, so I want to switch the subject. The second idea then is don't listen. Here's my third newest idea about listening. Is I mentioned it when we were talking about purpose, was listen through your purpose. So, for example, you can practice that right now. You're listening to me. You're doing a great job. I'm talking for quite a while. I've only got a few more minutes of talking to do, and then I'm going to listen to you. But you could say, well, what's my purpose right now? Why am I listening to Dave? Because sometimes your purpose is to learn and grow. Sometimes your purpose is to be of contribution. Sometimes your purpose is to be a good friend. Sometimes your purpose is to be a coach and help somebody think. Sometimes your purpose might be to sell something to someone. Oh yeah, you can listen through the purpose of selling. And it's one of the best ways to sell people things, by the way. You make a lot more money if you listen than you speak. Next idea is imagine the person you're listening to is a loved one. So maybe they're not, but imagine it. So, of course, for me, I would imagine my granddaughter. And, oh, there she is. Look at her. That's a brand new picture, by the way. Those of you who are looking on the screen, I just took that the other day. Her name is Rosemary, and they call her Rosie. And look at those cheeks. Those are naturally like that. She's just a doll. So if I really want to listen well, and if I find myself drifting, I just think, well, how would I listen to Rosie? And boom, I start a whole new way of listening. Of course, I could imagine my wife, I could imagine my daughters, I can imagine some of you on this call, but that's one way I can improve my listening skills. I could also imagine my almost born new daughter. I just got to tell you all this because I'm so excited I can hardly stand it, that my oldest daughter is just about to deliver a baby. I mean, within hours, no more than a day or two. I won't go into all the details, but it is close. Okay, two more ideas about my newest ways of listening. One is to exaggerate. Exaggerate. Take those skills you know and just overdo them. Be so silent that the other person says, are you still there? Or what do you think? Or active listen so much so the other person says, look, I know you got it, you don't have to repeat it. Or be so attentive that the other person says, what are you looking at? do I got like a eyelash in my eye or something? What are you looking at? Or be so agreeable and affirming that the other person is like stunned. But the point is, take those skills that you know and exaggerate them. My last idea, and then I want to hear from you, is notice what you add. Notice what you add. Because I think that we add so much to what people say. Boy, I've really been noticing this lately with my wife. It's amazing. She'll say one sentence, and I'll write a book. I'll hear a book. She'll say one sentence, and I'll hear that sentence, but then I'll add about 4 more sentences. So notice what you add, and then sometimes you can even check it out. You can say, I know you said this, but I'm thinking you might have meant this. So confess that you added it. And most of the time when I do that, I'm wrong. So I just started noticing what I added and not even checking it out. Sometimes I add, well, she's mad at me, or it's my fault, or she thinks I'm bad, or he thinks I'm an idiot, or he thinks I'm just trying to butter him up, or blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, I want to hear from you. I don't think I've ever taught any of those. So, of course, I want to know what you think. Please make a comment, ask a question,